Hello and welcome to another Diablo 4 in-depth build guide on necromancer this time. I'm going to show you what nodes to pick for Book of the Dead, how to level up the skills while leveling, what legendary powers to look for, and how I'm going to level up the paragon board. For Book of the Dead, this build involves bone skills and no minions. So you get crit strike chance is increased by 5%, but you can no longer raise skeletal warriors. Then for shadow mages, you deal 15% increased damage to vulnerable enemies, but you can no longer raise skeletal mages. Then for the last one, you deal 30% increased crit strike damage, but you lose the ability to summon a golem, which makes no minions, but you'll have crit strike chance, more vulnerable damage, and more crit strike damage. The first skill on the skill tree is Bone Splinters. Fire 3 Bone Splinters, dealing 8% damage each. Each subsequent time an enemy is hit by the same cast of Bone Splinters, you gain 1 essence. Then I would get Enhanced Bone Splitters. Bone Splitters has a 25% chance to fire 2 additional projectiles if cast while you have 50 or more essence. Then that brings you down to core skills. You get Bone Spear. Get as many points as you can until you reach the Corpse and Macabre skills. Get Bone Prison. Then after you get your Bone Prison, go back and finish Bone Spear. Bone Spear, conjure a Bone Spear from the ground, dealing 119% damage and piercing through enemies. Then Enhanced Bone Spear. Bone Spear breaks into 3 shards when it is destroyed, dealing 25% damage each. And then Bone Spear makes the first enemy hit vulnerable for 3 seconds. Then after that, go back and make Bone Splinters has 20% chance per hit to make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds. That will give you 2 skills that makes enemies vulnerable. And then that would bring you down to your curse skills. Get Iron Maiden. And then Iron Maiden curses the target area. Enemies afflicted by Iron Maiden take 10% damage each time they deal direct damage, lasts 10 seconds. Then get Enhanced Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden no longer costs essence, instead gain 5 essence for each enemy curse. Does not work with enemies who are already cursed with Iron Maiden. Then get Heal for 5% of your maximum life when an enemy dies while afflicted with Iron Maiden. Then go back and get Upgrade Bone Prison. First Bone Prison, unearth a prison of bone with 10 life that surrounds the target area for 6 seconds. And then if enemy is trapped by Bone Prison, gain 15 essence plus additional 5 per enemy trapped. That'll help you keep your essence up. And then get enemies inside of Bone Prison are vulnerable, giving you another thing to make enemies vulnerable with. Then once you get to these skills down here, get Bone Spirit. Bone Spirit, consume all of your essence to conjure a spirit of bone that seeks enemies. Upon reaching an enemy, the spirit explodes, dealing 80% damage to the target and all surrounding enemies. Damage is increased by 3% for each point of essence spent casting Bone Spirit. I would use this if I can't cast Bone Spear. It'll just use the rest of your essence. And then get Enhanced Bone Spirit. If Bone Spirit critically strikes, its cooldown is reduced by 6 seconds. This effect can only happen once per cast. Then after Bone Spirit hits an enemy, you generate 30 essence over the next 4 seconds. Then I would go back up and get Bone Splinters till you unlock your ultimate. One more. Then for the ultimate, you get Bone Storm. This rolling storm of bones appears around you and your golem, dealing 180% to surrounding enemies over 10 seconds. I don't have a golem, so it just form around me. Then your damage reduction is increased by 15% while Bone Storm is active. And then your critical strike chance is increased by 20% while Bone Storm is active. Then go back and fill out Bone Spirit 5, Bone Prison to 4, then get Key Passive. Your bone skills deal 1% increased damage for each point of essence you have above 50 upon cast. Then go back and increase Bone Prison and Iron Maiden to the max. Then after that, get get 3 points, and Bone Skills have increased critical strike chance for 10 essence you have upon cast. Then 3 points in this. Every 100 essence you spend reduces cooldowns of your Bone Skills by 1.5 seconds. Then your Bone Skills deal 6% increased critical strike damage to vulnerable enemies. That'll be 18% after 3 points. Then after critically striking 10 times with Bone Skills, your Bone Skills deal 15% increased damage for 5 seconds. After you get 3 points in that. Then get Standalone, increased damage reduction by 18%, reduced by 2% for each active minion. Won't have any minions, so it'll be 18%. Then Sacrificing both skeletal warriors and skeletal mages increase their sacrifice bonuses by 60%. That increases your vulnerable and your crit strike chance. Then for the last point, get 3% increased damage to cursed enemies. That's the skill tree. Then for the legendary powers, for the helm, aspect of torment, critical strikes with opponent skills increase your essence regeneration by 20 to 30% for so many seconds. Then for your chest, get aspect of shielding storm. Each time that bone storm damages an enemy, gain a barrier equal to 2 to 5% of your base life for 10 seconds. And then for gloves, deal 23 to 33 increased damage while you have a barrier active. For the pants, it's a unique pants, so it might be hard to get. Effects that heal you beyond 100% life grant you a barrier up to 50 to 100% of your maximum life that lasts for 30 seconds. So you'll be healing with this mostly. And if it would overheal you, it would go to your barrier. Then for boots, enemies afflicted by your Iron Maiden have 15 to 25% chance to be stunned for 1 second when they deal direct damage. For your main hand, Bone Spear's primary attack makes enemies hit beyond the first vulnerable for 1.5 to 2.5 seconds. Bone Charge from Bone Spear deal 50 to 100% bonus damage to vulnerable enemies and pierce them. So, beyond the first enemy hit, you're making the first enemy hit vulnerable, and then beyond that, makes them vulnerable. And Bone Charge from the Bone Spear does more damage when the Bone Spear breaks and becomes Bone Shards. The offhand, your sacrifice bonuses are increased by 15 to 25%. That's all these. Those will get increased. Then for one of the rings, lucky hit up to a 10% chance to generate 30 to 50 essence when hitting a vulnerable enemy with your bone skills. More essence generation. Trying to build a lot of essence to use Bone Spear. Attacking enemies with a basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill cast by 5 to 10% up to 50%. Increasing your Bone Spear after casting Bone Splinters if you don't have any essence. Then for the amulet, the ossified essence key passive also increases the crit strike damage of your bone skills by 1% per essence above 50 up to 30 to 40%. That's this down here, and increase your damage, and then it also increases crit strike damage. That's the legendary powers. Then on to the paragon board. through this way, get the glyph spot. This one, get exploit. For every 5 dexterity purchase within range, you deal 1.5% increased damage to vulnerable targets. Dealing damage bonus, dealing damage to a vulnerable enemy increases your damage by 1% for 6 seconds up to 10%. And I wouldn't fill out the dexterity, I would just get the rare nodes and move on. And come back and fill out the glyph spot when the glyph is at a higher level. Then for your first board is bone graft. And then orient. So it looks like this. I would take the path over to get all these nodes and then get the legendary node. Hitting enemies with bone skills increase your damage by 1% and your maximum essence by 3 for 8 seconds. Stacks up to 7.5% increased damage and 22.5 maximum essence. And then these deal crit strike damage with bone skills and crit strike chance. You don't need potion healing unless you want it. Then after that, head up this way. Crit strike damage with bone skills and bone skill damage with all these. Then keep going to the glyph. For this one is sacrificial. Grants 50% bonus to all magic nodes within range. You deal 10% increased damage while you have no active minions. And then get bone skill damage. And then your resistance and intelligence. Then I would head this way and pick up this maximum essence and essence on kill. Get all those and go to this gate node and get Scent of Death. Then come down this way and get crit strike damage. Then come down and get the legendary node. With at least 2 corpses nearby, you gain 15% damage reduction. With no corpses nearby, you deal 15% increased damage. You don't have a way to generate corpses, so you're probably going to be dealing 15% increased damage in this build. Then head up to the glyph spot, and this one is amplify. Amplify grants 50% bonus to all magic nodes within range. Enemies affected by curse skills take 10% increased damage from you and your minions. Then I would pick up damage to injured enemies. And then armor and intelligence. Then after the glyph, come back down here and pick up crit strike damage and damage to healthy. Then also come through here and pick up damage to injured. Then come back to the first board. And then select the next one, which is Bloodbath. I don't know which other one to pick because they don't give you that many boards if you're using no minions and bone skills. Orient it like this and go down and pick up a glyph spot. This one is Essence. For every 5 dexterity purchased within range, core skills deal 4% increased crit strike damage. Bonus critical strikes deal 22% increased damage to enemies that are not healthy. Then I would get intelligence bonus. And fill out this glyph area with dexterity so you can get the bonus. That's all the dexterity can get around it to increase it. Then go up this way and damage to healthy. Try to skip the overpower damage because you're not going to have a way to overpower. Then get the plus 10% damage and fortify generation. Then go back and fill out this area, get all the intelligence. That's all of that one. Then fill out this glyph area. You need all the intelligence on this one too. That's all of that one. And then fill out this. This glyph area is dexterity. You already got most of it, so you just come through here and fill out the rest of it. And you got 11 more points. I'll just fill in intelligence, so it gives you more damage overall. And you can pick up this damage one. That's the paragon boards. That's going to be it for this build. If you liked it, hit that like button and then subscribe for more builds. I got one more coming, which is the barbarian. And then on launch, early access, I'm going to be playing sorcerer. So until next time, see ya.